What's happening, YouTube? This is Mitch from ZMB Productions. Today I'm gonna be reviewing one of the best double albums ever, Exile on Main Street by the Rolling Stones, 1972. The reason I decided to review this one is because recently, I don't know if you can see that, but, well, somewhere around there. Yeah, they re-released Exile with 10 new unreleased tracks, and the reason why was because I think they're the record companies the record labels that owned their music, like it just they switched companies or whatever, and the company that now owns like some of their post 71 material or whatever from like Sticky Fingers on wanted to start re-releasing the albums with new tracks. It really wasn't a Stones decision. I think they got into it a little bit once it happened, but they basically were like, we want to, remarket some of your old albums. So they remastered the original 18 tracks on the album. Not the biggest double album. They remastered the 18 tracks, the original tracks, and added 10 new tracks. Now, some of the tracks have like new guitar parts because not all of it was finished in the time when they recorded it in southern France in Keith's house back in 1970, the summer of '71. And so some of the guitar parts are not completely finished, but most of it's finished up. But like I said, some of the vocals are new. Like a lot of the people, when you listen to the 10 new tracks, some of it might sound new, like Jagger's voice. One of the 10, I'll talk about the 10 tracks real quick just to get that out of the way. I'm really mainly reviewing the original release of the album, the original 18 tracks, which I guess now it's 28 tracks, which makes it a big-ass double album. Really, I think 2 of the 10 songs were like just early original takes of other songs. Like, no, there were 3. They have an original take of Loving Cup with a totally different piano riff, but it somehow sinks back into the normal deal. I can see why it didn't make it on the album. The second song is All Down the Line, which is basically just, in my opinion, vocal improvisation or lyrical like a loose. It's loosely based around the lyrics that Mick Jagger wrote, and he was just kind of improvising. It almost sounded like. So that was, it was just an alternate take. I would hardly consider it a new track or new song. The third and final one was there was like an early version of Tumblin' Dice, which is the hit, one of the main songs from this album, and it was called Good Time Woman. It was okay. It was pretty okay. I listened to it, occasionally. And I got to talk about the single that was released from the new tracks, Plundered My Soul, which is a good song, but it was mainly, it's a new song, but all the vocals on it are completely brand new. Like the music, the background music the music in the background of the instruments is completely old, from the 70s. One of the coolest features about this album, just kind of an obvious, is the album cover. The album cover is, I like it. It's like random people. And then the inside cover, this is of course for vinyl. Yeah, it's definitely got a cool cover. By the way, this is in pretty good condition. It's a cool cover, and this was a really conflicted time for the Stones because they kind of had to do a farewell tour of Britain, because this was a time where England was in a more socialist stage, and I believe, and this is just what I heard from Mick in an interview, he said that I think the tax was 90%, so like, if you made $100 from your job, 90 of it had to go to the government, which is, obviously hard for a band, and they got ripped off by a lot of their managers, with Alan Klein, and they just had some troubles, and They kept. I think they kept to Atlantic, but they. I think they were still under Atlantic, but they created their own record label, and they managed themselves from then until currently. Um, so it was a. So they lost a lot of money, and they had to put out an album, and they basically just jammed in this in Keith's mansion, and it was a terrible place to record, but they pulled it off. And I mean, some of the tracks on here, I mean, you have some tracks that are just like obviously number one, everybody knows it, but I mean, it's just such a, I don't know. At the same time, it feels like underground, like it's almost not mainstream. I mean, it starts off with Rocks Off, which is just a kick-ass song, and then you got Rip This Joint, which is awesome. In the words of Keith, it'll keep you on your toes. It's just a good song. Some moments that I would say, for example, is like probably Shake Your Hips. I didn't feel like Shake Your Hips was original. I kind of felt like Shake Your Hips was just kind of like a jam that they did, and they just kind of decided to record it. There's some tracks that are good, heavy on the blues influence, like Stop Breaking Down. That's a good track. And it's Casino Boogie was alright. There are some weak points on the album, like for example, like I said, Shake Your Hips. Honestly, I think Rip This Joint went with it, but it wasn't really insanely original. Sweet Black Angel, I don't dig that song. There's some other one. There are some weak points, like I Just Want to See His Face. I mean, that's an alright song. I mean, I think what the lyrics are about, the whole question of Jesus and religion. I mean, I think that's interesting, but I don't really dig it. Turd on the Run, and just not my deal. Pretty much everything on. I mean, you got good rock songs like All Down the Line, and then you got like real slow, bluesy, soulful tracks like Let It Loose. And then the album ends on a weird note with Soul Survivor, but I think it's a pretty good song. Not like the most insane good song, but it's pretty good. I think that Exile was never actually intended to be anything insane. I'm sorry, I forgot half of the tracks. But I listened to the album the other day. I had to hold my iPod or whatever up because I forgot some of the tracks. But all in all, it's a really good album. It's just heavy on a lot of blues and soul feel. I mean, it's almost a weird old school album, but it's still got that Stones vibe. Keith Richards, man, I don't know, him with the rhythm guitar. I mean, this album is just really heavy. It's raunchy and dirty. It wasn't really mixed, really tight knit, and everything's perfect. It was, it was a very raunchy album, but it's a good album, and it's one of my favorite Stones albums. And I'd probably say a 7.5 out of 10. This is Mitch signing off.